All right, guys, welcome back. This is Chris again. We're on Passing the Bar podcast. I've got my co-host, Evan.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And I've got Steve with us, too.
How's it going?
Our special guest today is Mr. Patrick Collins. He is the president of Chesbay Distributing. We appreciate you being on the show for us.
I am honored and humbled by the request. So,
just to remind everybody, here at Passing the Bar podcast, we're essentially bartenders talking about real life things with a little bit of a twist, talking about the ups and downs of our industry, all the social issues that we deal with, and everything in between. So, Chesbay Distributing, you guys are a pretty big company.
we would be servicing all of Hampton Road. So let me put it in perspective. In the beer industry, distributors have assigned territories.
Right.
And so for Chesbay Distributing, we service all of Hampton Roads. That would include about 3,500 customers between on and off-premise accounts.
Wow.
And we'll do just under 6 million cases a year. By no means the largest in the United States, but we are one of the largest in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Wow.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's very big.
Just 6 million, huh?
We're trying.
So on the 6 million cases point, that's not including kegs, is that right? Or
That would include kegs. So
Okay,
if you
okay.
take a keg of beer, and like most people know, you convert it to cases, it's about 7 cases of beer.
Okay, perfect.
That's good math, just in
That's
case
a
I
lot.
ever throw another college party again.
It's new to me.
I was going to say,
it's
you learn something new every day,
Yeah,
right?
that's new to me. I love that. That's a great
7
breakdown.
cases
Yep.
per keg. All right.
Well, that's awesome. So some of the brands I believe that you guys carry, Blue Moon,
Yes.
Miller Lite, Coors Light.
Yes. So if we were to look at our supplier list, the largest would be Miller Coors. So, Chris, just as you mentioned, Miller Lite, Coors Light, Blue Moon would be the 3 largest brands from our partners from Miller Coors. But we also have Constellation, which is Corona Modelo, part of that family, Heineken. And obviously Heineken is the biggest brand. Then we also have Sam Adams,
Wow.
Yingling, Mike's Hard Lemonade, and then we get into some of our locals, be it a regional like Flying Dog or Virginia Beer Company out of Williamsburg.
Okay, awesome.
But we have about just under 40 suppliers total that we work with.
Wow. So the way that it goes is that you have the breweries that create the product. Your company, they come in, collect the product, and then distribute it out to, I guess, the rest of Hampton Roads.
Spot on, Chris. You can take my job.
Oh, man. Just that easy.
But if you like, I'd give a little background on the industry.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, please.
And
That'd be
not
great.
the boring one, but
Yeah.
we all know once upon a time in the United States there was Prohibition. And Prohibition was repealed in the early 1930s. I think it was 33 or 34, somewhere along that lines. But with the repeal of Prohibition, they created the 21st Amendment. And in the 21st Amendment, it accomplished 2 things. Number one, it created the 3-tier system.
Okay.
So to Chris's point, the 3 tiers are the brewers or an importer like a Constellation, which has Corona or Heineken.
Okay.
So you have the brewers. The middle tier would be the distributors. So Chesbay is one of probably about 1,500 around the country, maybe 2,500. And then you have the restaurants and grocery stores and convenience stores would be the 3rd part of the tier. So we buy it from the manufacturers, be it Miller Coors or the importer like a Corona. We in turn turn around and sell it to the whether it's a 7-Eleven owner or the owner of a lot of our fine establishments here in Hampton Roads, and then you guys service the end user, our wonderful consumers.
Yeah. That's a big part of our thing is cracking those beers and getting them out to everybody. Yeah. On that note, though, so just curious, in your experience and in your work experience, was there ever a time that you worked in the hospitality industry at all, or anything of that sort?
Great question. And honestly, the answer is no. Here's the interesting career path for me. I'm born and raised in Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And during the summers from college, I'd work as a helper on the beer trucks.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, okay.
So spend every
That's
summer.
it. Perfect. So from the bottom to the top, basically.
That's it.
Oh, I love it. That's a
Humping
great story.
cases in 100-degree weather in Oklahoma, but everybody loved the beer guy.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So essentially, you were an extension of what we do.
Yes.
Yeah, yep.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yep. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, so you started at the bottom. Now you're here. That's, I mean,
it's a big title of being president of Chesbay Distribution. That's a awesome accolade to have.
Yeah.
Nope, I do appreciate it. And, so when I graduated from college, finished schooling and everything, I went to work at the distributorship in Tulsa, Oklahoma, full-time. From there, I went to spend almost 8 years with what was then the Miller Brewing Company. So this would have been prior to the Miller-Coors merger. So I spent 8 years there. We have a sister company in Chicago by the name of Chesbay Beverage. So I called on them as a distributor rep. So I did that for a couple of years, and one day they called me up and offered me a job, and they've probably been regretting it ever since.
We're down in we call it the trenches.
Yeah.
We're in the trenches.
Essentially the trenches. Yeah. But with at least with myself, I'm always looking for a way to better myself. A way to move to the next level. So it's actually really nice to hear that. Essentially pulled yourself up by your bootstraps, what I'm saying? Did your due diligence, and, that ended up paying off, well for you. And I'm sure, at least from being able to meet you, it seems that your demeanor crosses over, I would imagine, to your work demeanor too, to where, you're just really pleasant.
To that note, normally we take a shot at the beginning of the show. I'd like to cheers to that and thank Patrick for being on the show.
Thank you again for being on the show, Pat. Appreciate you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh.
What is that, Evan?
4 Roses bourbon. It is delicious. I love bourbon. So basically the idea now is that every week each of us we'll switch it up, and one of us will grab something different every time.
And I'm still looking for George Clooney to come through
with the Casamigos.
Casamigos.
Yeah.
George Clooney, if you're out there and you're listening, I'll let you know.
Season 5, episode 10.
We got you.
Like that.
We're out there. We're out here for you.
So on Chesbay, I always remember Chesbay. There was a guy. This is back in my Keegan's days, one of the first bartending jobs I ever had. But God, I wish I could remember his name. But throughout my bar career, I'd always see him, and he would come in, and he'd be the guy. I wanted to put this out there too. I was thinking about this the other day. It's like people wonder about their beer and their draft lines. I've heard people say like, I don't know, I don't drink draft because I know the lines are dirty, or I've had people say that in my past or whatever. But there was a guy that would come in, and I think it was once every 2 weeks or something like that. He would come in and he would service all of our Chesbay taps. So to give you guys credit, I just this guy would always come in. I wish I could remember his name. He retired probably 5 years ago, but throughout my bartending career, I would always see him at different places and just have a conversation with him. But
Was it by chance Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie. That's it. Yeah, that's the guy. Yep.
I swear you know everyone.
Yes, Charlie. That's it. Yeah. So you retired 5 years ago or something
Yes,
like that.
that's correct.
Yep. But he was always a great guy, and it was so cool because during my bar, working from this place, moving to another place or managing another place, I would always see him because you guys are pretty much in every location. You have your Coors there, your Blue Moon, or your Sam Adams. So I'd always have the luck and opportunity to have a conversation with Charlie.
Charlie's a great guy. He still does a lot of volunteering in the community at different events, so I bump into him at least 2 or 3 times a year.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. But, I just want to say, you guys have a great company. And so I was reading into it. You guys are part of the Reyes, is that correct?
Yes, so Reyes Beverage Group. So I talked a little bit about Chicago Beverage Systems where I started, but do business in Southern California, of course, Chicago, South Carolina, and then here in Virginia and Washington, D.C.
Yeah. It's from what I was looking at, it's a pretty big company. They do pretty well for themselves. But
the 2 brothers have done well, and again, not to bore you with their history, but they started as a Slits distributor.
Oh,
I think of a couple of 100,000 cases of Slits in Savannah, Georgia, and then from there they bought the operation in Chicago. And to their credit, they've just had one business pay for the next. So they've been very focused, very astute with how they manage their money. But as Chris talked about bootstraps, I think that would define the ownership of our company.
Yeah. Another thing I was noticing that the timeline of the acquisitions of different distribution companies and such. Another thing that I noticed as well, which is a very positive trend, is that you guys, Reyes Distribution, Chesbay being an arm of that. you guys have a very good record as far as employment, the happiness and employment at your locations.
You guys have done your homework. There's two things that we do every year. One is what we call our employee engagement survey. And again, the goal is just to create an environment where, in the spirit of transparency, people can, share their feelings with you. For me personally, and I can speak for my 13 peers, you keep an open door policy.
Right.
And I can do everything I can to make the environment comfortable for everyone. If there's an issue or an idea you want to share, to knock on my door. But some people just, are introverts.
Right, yeah.
And,
It's not so easy to open up.
Yeah, more comfortable in an environment like a survey. But we do that every year. And then we also do a customer satisfaction survey every year. So sending surveys out to people like yourselves, getting feedbacks. And the key is focusing on the things you can do better.
Right.
And if we keep doing that, our customers are going to be happy with us and our retention is going to be high.
Right. Well, I just want to say, again, hats off to you guys, you being part of that system. I look to the future of myself being, an entrepreneur and opening something up. So I see, businesses like this, and, I look, to what you guys are doing to implement when I get to that place.
Well, I'm happy to be here, and anything I can do in the future in terms of sharing what limited knowledge I know, don't hesitate to call.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? It was 5 years ago?
Kung Fu
Kung
Brew. So it's funny. We actually
Kung Brew.
So this is a great conversation. So I won't bore everybody too long with this. It was so we started brewing beer. I worked for Yard House for a long time. I opened a lot of restaurants there, but it was great to see the explosion in this American dream. You know what I mean? Where people are like, I'm going to open a brewery and I'm going to find some money and I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? And it was like two friends or a family or two brothers, like all these things. I would teach these classes and I always tell the stories about. Who started and how it started. And then I started to think I want to do this too. So I started brewing beer, me and my buddy Gary. Basically, we lost our minds and we probably brewed about 1,000 gallons of beer in a matter of just over a year and a half. And basically just gave it away. I gained a little bit of weight because of it.
Yeah, but
quality assurance, man. You have to try it out.
You had your one anchor, right? That one was a strawberry.
Oh, the strawberry blonde, which was essentially it was called She Gone Strawberry Blonde.
She Gone,
which was from a friend of mine that worked at Yard House, and she said, "Can you make a beer for women, something that women would really be happy about?" And I was like, "Okay." And she said, "How about a strawberry blonde?" I said, "Okay, we'll try it out." So we make a couple 5-gallon batches of this stuff, and we we have a party, friends come over, and we destroyed it. People just destroyed it, and then so we started passing out bottles to friends, and they would just be like, "Can I get another 6-pack of that?" And so we started brewing this thing all the time. So, anyways, fast forward a couple years goes by. We had a business plan, we had an investor, and at the end of the day, I'm going to be 100% honest. We just were not ready for that that endeavor. You know what I mean? And it became very clear when we got to the to that tipping point where it's either you're going to go for it or you're not. You know what I mean?
So I remember when because I was around during this time too.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're looking for spaces and the different warehouses that try to get into, what size BBL system were you trying to?
So we were trying to go for and this is that go big or go home thing. You know what I mean? I think Dan Hoffler had given me one. He was a regular at Yard House. He'd give me one of his books about how he had built Town Center. I asked him, "Hey, did you write a book, Dan?" He said, "Yeah, man." And I said, I asked him if I could look at it. He said, "Yeah, check it out." He grabs it back from me after he hands it to me. He goes, "Hold on a second." He hands it back. I hand it back to him. He fills it out, signs it, hands it back to me, and it says, "Dream big, Evan. It works." And I was like, "Wow, that's powerful." You know what I mean? So he kind of broke my brain there a little bit, and I'm like, "Man, I could build a town center with this." You know what I mean? I was gonna read this book. So, anyways, that kind of sat in my head, and I thought about these other breweries that were starting with 3 BBL systems and 5 BBLs, and it seemed like it was a very tough way to actually once I get to the start talking to Patrick at Chesbay or one of his managers, I'm not gonna be able to produce anything once it gets to that point. So I thought well, maybe we'll start off with a 20 BBL and then have So we were looking at I think at the end of the day it was a $350,000 system. We had an investor who was at first was very hesitant to the idea, and it was basically 45 minutes or maybe an hour of grilling me of how is this even possible? Why are you better? To turning into a 3-hour conversation of okay, well maybe we could find a different location, this and that, and then it came down to I had to do my due diligence and come back to him and just make it make sense. And now it sits in my head till this day. He said, "Evan, I love it. I think it's great. Just come back to me in a few weeks and make it make sense." And at the end of the day, the team was not ready, and then so we kind of just let it go.
Just fizzled out.
Yeah, it kind of fizzled out. So